73% of Gen Z is opposed to genocidal behavior.
In the workforce, Gen Z is so entitled. I need my vacations, I need my break, I need a pay raise.
Our generation is so burned that they'll literally run around doing things that are not relevant because they just want to be doing something to help. Hi, welcome back to Gotta Be Me podcast. We're happy to be here again with you today. We are your hosts. I'm Sophia Benyon, and this is my cousin, Peyton Benyon.
Welcome back to our channel, everybody. If you're new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll appreciate it so much. Thank you.
We're so happy for all the engagement that we got from our video that we made. Any of our viewers that saw it or didn't see it, we made a video about asking just anyone to post their opinions on what the pros and cons of our generation, Gen Z, were. And we got some excellent answers, and we can't wait to discuss those on video today.
Can we make sure our viewers know Gen Z would be ages 11 to 26 approximately. If you look it up on Google, some people will say different ages, but I'm assuming everyone knows. But in case you didn't, it's ages 11 to 26. Yeah.
And we would like to really give a shout out. Anybody that posted, we appreciate you and your engagement so much.
Absolutely.
There was a lot of comments, so much that we probably won't be able to mention every single thing, but we appreciate you for responding so much, and your answers were thought-provoking and helpful to us personally as well.
We are just going to dive right in here. I'm excited about all the comments people have put.
Yes.
So we're just going to get right into it. All right, so
Great.
One of the comments we got from our TikTok was a pro would be how sensitive we are to our surroundings. Vibe check.
I love that. Honestly, I think that's one of the big ones. Like, if I was to name top 5, I might put that one in there.
We're able to feel things and understand the atmosphere in a room. We're able to feel the energy from each other. Like, no, that person got bad energy. We're able to see behind the surface and beyond the words of what people are just saying.
And I feel like we just understand each other at a deeper level.
At a human level,
average.
like our sentiments and feelings, which on the flip side of that, we can tend to be a little sensitive. You know, people be getting offended about stuff they don't, right? But, you know, your weaknesses are your strengths. They do say that.
And I think it allows us to be really empathetic, too, to be able to get in there with other people and really feel their pain and be relatable in that way.
Like, we're really a group that's really outraged about social injustices.
Right, and someone
because
said that.
Of that,
someone mentioned that.
We're
we're really concerned about
at empathizing,
that.
right? A con that this person noticed as well is how short our attention spans tend to be.
I've noticed that.
That's so true.
Especially my younger brothers that are even more. I'm Gen Z, but I'm kind of like a older Gen Z, and they're like right in the middle of it.
I mean, I noticed it on myself. Like, when I was younger.
I will admit, with the shorts.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to be able to plug through. Like, when I was 11 or 12, I read Uncle Tom's Cabin, like, all the way through in one day. I read Roots in, like, 2 days. I just plowed through it, right? But then I started getting, you get on your computer, you get on different stuff, and I'm watching shorts, trying to
and
see
if
what's
it's not good, you're scrolling.
I'm
like,
scrolling. I'm on to
5
the
seconds.
next.
Yeah.
I know we're about to lose our chances right here. People be like, next.
Scroll.
Don't scroll.
Another comment we got mentioned that Gen Z tends to be ashamed of where they come from. I see this, where I see this a lot? I see this in, like, the pressure people start feeling. So, there's communities that would be considered minority communities, and the people of our generation are outraged by any kind of social injustice that happens to them, to the point of feeling guilty and being embarrassed of who they are. And I think that if you see a problem, you should be doing everything in your power to fix it. But that shouldn't put guilt on
themselves. Because someone else got proud of who they were, doesn't mean that now you in turn should be ashamed of what you are. No, I'm proud that I'm the way I am. You should be proud of the way you are. You shouldn't be, like, proud of how I am. Like, no, that's all we want. Like, get proud of yourself. You know what I mean? As long as that pride in yourself doesn't suppress someone else's pride.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Another comment that I thought was good, someone said, we're mostly very open to change and respect people. I feel like that's pretty true. Like, as far as our generation and being on a college campus and just talking to people, I felt that people have been pretty accepting. I'm walking around, I don't exactly look like the average person just walking around, you know, why people think, what is she doing? What clothes does she have on? Somebody said, are y'all pilgrims? I said, what are you talking about? Somebody don't know their history. Pilgrims. But anyways, yeah. And respect people. I feel like we tend to respect people's opinions. Like we're just broader because our technology has kind of allowed us to see beyond just our town. Right. And just our city. And just our state. And just our country. We're just, and someone else said, we're working with a more diverse group of people. Right. So we're pretty diverse in that sense.
And so we're just willing to accept from, like we'll just accept from others whatever they choose to present. I feel like it can also be a negative because we can accept too much. Like not everything is acceptable. Right. I don't care. Like, and not every human is acceptable, of course. But not everything they do is acceptable, and we shouldn't accept it all. So that can be a con. That can work in our disfavor.
We get too, like, it becomes a free-for-all,
and it's not true, right? But, yeah, I do think we're very, in general, not, of course, that there's not some that aren't this way.
I mean, you can.
We would just try to be more chill about things like, yeah, do your thing, do you. Like,
I mean, people can hate on an anomaly. They can say, no, I ran into this one person and they didn't respect me. But I just feel as a general, you got to feel the vibe of our generation again. As a general. But we feel like this.
I would say, though, that, like, the way that we kind of respect people, like, do your thing, I don't want to, that's not to be confused with proper respect for authority, because as someone mentioned, as one of our commenters mentioned, I think we could be lacking there.
Respect for authority.
Now, the pro of that is that we're not just going to accept anything that someone tries to force on us.
Because they have some title of authority.
We're not just
going to check you on your authority.
Right. We don't.
But now it's up to whether, when you understand, oh, someone does have authority, then do we know how to respond appropriately to that?
And I think we have a problem with that. One of our viewers actually submitted a whole video that we thought seems like would be so funny. Let's watch it.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Come on, guys. We can do it. Let's go. Come on, Gen Z.
Look, they're holding phones.
Come on, Gen Z. Hey, come on. Get to work.
Get to work.
Why do we talk like that? Why do we, like, talk like that? Like, but we kind of do, though. I don't know what
certainly a certain demographic does. That's funny.
Yeah, I wouldn't say everybody. I love that they have, like, tools in one hand and phone in the other.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we're definitely distracted by our phones, but it's also so our generation to try to like, oh, how do you do this? YouTube it. Like,
tutorial right now, you know,
like on the spot. Like, figure out how to do this. You know, I noticed that a lot of our viewers mentioned technology, that we're really good with technology. What was that thing that you were reading that said we're like the first generation to actually grow up on a phone?
Yeah, having phones.
Like, even we remember our parents having flip phones.
Yeah, well, I remember, like, no phones.
For sure.
I remember when, like, communicating with email was a bigger deal.
Well, I feel like we're groundbreaking in a lot of things. And one of our viewers actually mentions technology, healthcare, entertainment, retail, and another one said entrepreneurship. I think that's all true. Like, our greater focus on healthcare and including mental health. I love how concerned our generation is with that. And the flip of that, of course, can be getting too self-centered and too into ourselves, which I can admit it. I think that's probably a con of our generation.
Yeah.
But mental health and the concern for it and just healthcare in general is so great.
And just understanding how to deal with it, honestly. Understanding what's actually going on in the brain. There's just a lot more information available about that.
I feel like because of our vibe check, we're really good at entertainment because we know what's funny, kind of. And like, the comedians of our generation are really good at connecting with people.
Right. Like, their jokes are things that when you see it, you're like, yes, that happens all the time. It's an everyday occurrence, and they're really good at that.
Yeah, and of course, that's not to say that our comedians are better than any others. I'm just saying, I think we got some good ones.
Right. You know?
I'm just going to read a couple cons really quick that I thought were probably true. Overly dramatic. We do tend to be pretty dramatic. Like, some little thing comes up. I've been oppressed. That's the first thing we run to.
Quick to call
because I mean, we do cry out against oppression, which is a good thing, but we be too dramatic about it sometimes.
Be doing the most.
We can tend to be scared of commitment.
Well, wait. Somebody said a good comment about commitment. They said we are oftentimes scared of commitment because they fear their free-spirited nature would be squelched. So, you know, like, people overreact to it. And then they don't want to commit because they don't want to be tied down. But, you know, there's no understanding. Like, the free spirit's good, but commitment's good, you know, and you got to have that happy medium.
Have that balance.
I mean, and that takes maturity, and you kind of got to hear from the older people to know where the balance is and how to use your pros the best way you can.
Exactly, because free spirit can be bad if it's too free, you know, like.
But ultimately, it is good. Another thing someone had mentioned, talking about self-centered and everything else, is that we do have a sense of entitlement, which I do kind of have to agree with that.
I think not just someone mentioned that. I've heard that all around.
A lot of people say in the workforce, Gen Z is so entitled. I need my vacations. I need my break. I need a pay raise, you know? But someone mentioned something that I thought was good. Our sense of entitlement and lack of patience also means that they put up with much less than their predecessors.
Okay.
And we tend to speak whatever we feel, and this leads to entitlement and disrespect of authority, but can also be a sign of authenticity.
And we're not going to as easily allow ourselves to be oppressed because we're like, no, you're not doing that to me. We did want to read a couple quotes for some people that are older that submitted because we thought it was so good. And I mean, Gen Z, I think, is super powerful. But how powerful are we without a connection to our history, to our past, and to older, mature, wise people? What's that comment song that we love?
Tangent, huh?
That comment, Glory.
Oh,
it says, it takes the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what we're all about. So I want to read one of these comments from someone older that just like inspired me. Yes.
Okay, he said, I think this generation is very justice-oriented. I love the courage of this generation. I love that y'all don't just go along with something just because.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons young people don't fill church houses, for example.
And we should talk about that on a podcast.
I think we should, and comment down with why aren't people in churches. I think I could give a lot of reasons. Maybe we'll do that some other time. Access to information. We have overwhelming access to information. We can Google anything, and that makes us think because we can Google anything, we know everything.
We know everything because even if we don't know off the top of our head, well, we can find out.
Well, we can find out like that. And just thinking that you know things and not being able to get that human touch that you're gonna need is a detriment to us. So we're very justice-oriented, as I had mentioned, but we have a lack of understanding of what is just at times. So you think that
we're
wasn't
young, right? Like
fair.
We need, instead of what just is. We think fair.
Just because things aren't equal doesn't mean they aren't just.
And I think that's deep.
And we can have a misperception of that. Y'all said, if this generation was directed, it could be the most powerful generation if directed since the young people of the 60s.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes. Another one of the older people that responded to our video posted some statistics about Gen Z, and he just said, I'm not Gen Z, but this mindset is a huge pro that needs to be acknowledged. 73% of Gen Z is opposed to genocidal behavior as compared to some other generations, which were less. And he said, amazing, now to leverage that for good in society. Like, I feel like our generation is so burned that they'll literally run around doing things that are not relevant because they just want to be doing something to help, right?
And then we do things that don't necessarily add to going towards a solution necessarily because we just want to do something because we can't sit here.
And that's where the wisdom of the elders come in. That's where we cannot be disconnected from them.
Absolutely.
Or we'll just run in circles trying to fight, and we won't make any more changes than have happened at any other time.
Absolutely. So I think moral of the story, we love being Gen Z.
100%.
We love our generation. We would not like to be anything else
any
by
other generation.
Any means.
Not hating on any of y'all.
But we do want to make sure that in our youth, in our passion, our energy, we're connected.
Because I love that we can be rebellious, but connected to the right leaders at the same
Because
time.
you need direction. I mean, just thinking about like your wisdom from now to when you were 5, the difference is incredible. Like, I know the difference isn't that crazy now, just psychologically speaking, but still that experience, we just don't have that. So I think it's an important thing for us to understand how to be directed and where our leaders are and how to find them as a generation.
And those leaders can show us how to channel that rebellion against the right thing, because that's another thing Gen Z can do, right? Start rebelling, and all of a sudden they're rebelling against the right leaders and not rebelling. It just needs directed. We have so much energy and passion and feeling, and we're so serious about doing something.
Yeah.
Now we just need someone to put it in the right path, and it'll just be like, whoosh,
it'll be an explosion when it does happen.
Because
when we get
now
on the right
everything's all the burdens are flowing in different directions because people don't really know, and they're just
and you have to have a united front for anything to happen.
Right.
If you have 100 people saying they have a random thought about a random thing, you'll never get anywhere. You have to have someone who says, all right, this is what it is. This is how we got to do it. And that's going to be the way that we are most successful.
Right.
That's what we came on here to say. We hope y'all are having a great week. Come back next week for some more. Y'all know what time it is. Peace, love, and hair grease.